Welcome to the City of Clawson's council meeting for Tuesday, August 1st. This meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will you bow your head as I pray? Dear Father, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. And last but not least, thank you for loving us. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Oops.
Here.
Councilmember Ayers.
Here.
Councilmember Horton.
Here.
Councilmember Olbrich.
Here.
You will notice tonight that we're missing one council person. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on our agenda. We have one council person who's running for mayor, and according to our charter, the council person must resign from council, which will leave us one man short on council. We also have our chief here as acting city manager. Our city manager is on vacation, and when our manager is on vacation, our chief of police is our acting manager for the entire city. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then on the other side, you'll also notice that we have a new city clerk, Mike Smith, who was sworn in at our last meeting. So Michelle Cuckoo, who is here for many years, retired, and we do wish her the best. And welcome to many Tuesday evenings with us.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations again, Mike.
Thank you.
Then the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda tonight are approving our special council workshop meetings held July 11th and July 24th, our city council meeting July 18th, reappointment of Bob Riss to the Board of Review, accepting the resignation of Deb Woolley from City Council, and accepting the resignation of Paula Milan from the Planning Commission.
Actually, Madam Mayor, may I move to amend the agenda for the evening?
What would you like to do?
I move the agenda be amended to add item number 5B, consideration of a resolution awarding the bid for the City Hall countertops to the lowest qualified bidder as approved in the 2016 program year community development block grant application.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayers.
Yes.
Councilmember Horton.
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich.
Yes.
Mayor Loops.
Yes. All right. Do we have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Madam Mayor, we approve the consent agenda
Support.
as amended.
Support.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Horton.
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich.
Yes.
Mayor Loops.
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers.
Yes.
On to 5D, the addition, the bid for city countertops. Is there any information about that and who the lowest bidder is?
Yes. It is Mando Construction Incorporated, and they are in the amount of $17,120, and it's under the allocation that was approved in the 2016 program year application.
And what countertops will that cover?
The building department, clerk's office, and treasurer's office to try and match the police department with the jutting now ADA compliant, so it'll all be consistent throughout the city hall.
Amen.
Thank you. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olbrich.
Yes.
Mayor Loops.
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers.
Yes.
Councilmember Horton.
Yes.
Was there a motion on that?
I thought there was.
I didn't.
No.
Second.
Howie mentioned the countertops.
Your second.
Well, I seconded the consent agenda.
Well, is there a motion on the floor?
Who would like to make a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the resolution awarding the bid for the new ADA-compliant City Hall countertops to the lowest qualified bidder, Mando Construction Incorporated, in the amount of $17,120, a project that was allocated in the 2016 program year Community Development Block Grant application be approved.
Support.
Would you like to, well, we'll go through roll call again because we like to hear everybody say yes.
Councilmember Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Lubes,
Yes.
Councilmember Harris,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton.
Yes.
The next item is an update by Clausen Historical Museum curator Melody Nichols.
Thank you again. Just want to remind everybody that Sunday, August 13th at 1 o'clock, we are going to have a fantastic program here at City Hall with a canine soldier we'll be visiting. And the War Dogs Memorial Director will be presenting a history of how these fascinating dogs have helped soldiers in almost every war that we've had. And following that, we want you to all join us over in the museum yard for an old-fashioned ice cream social. And one little amendment to that, now that will be from approximately 2 o'clock until 4. We will have tours of the museum at 2:15 and 3 o'clock. It is, again, a free, fun family event. And we will actually have a vegan option for ice cream this year. So if you are vegan or you just can't tolerate dairy, get there early because there will be a limited amount. But I'm getting that from Treat Dreams. If you've ever had their vegan ice cream, it's out of this world. So we will have that available as well as traditional ice cream. So I hope that everybody will take a little time out of their Sunday and come and visit us. So, thank you.
Melanie, I got to ask you a question. You're having that, is it going to be outside on the grounds where the gentleman's going to be there to talk about the dogs?
He will be here at City Hall
What
in the
City
community room
Okay,
because he does have a presentation
okay.
that we require electricity for. And that way, rain or shine, we will have that. If it were to be raining, we will just have the ice cream social inside as well.
We don't say that word that weekend.
Well, it hasn't rained in weeks, so I'm not too worried.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Melody.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is consideration of an appointment to the vacancy on City Council. And note in our packet that it reports Councilman Deb Woolley has filed to run for mayor and submitted her resignation as noted under the consent agenda. This has caused a vacancy on City Council, and now this is where I disagree with. Per the consensus at the City Council special workshop held Monday, July 24th, the council agreed that if they had 4 members, they would not appoint. We did not agree. That's why it's on this agenda. We did not agree to appoint, and we did not agree not to appoint. We agreed that this would be a line item on the agenda to discuss. And if the majority wish to appoint, then we will appoint. So,
That's
Well-
correct.
pardon?
That's correct.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, I think the 4 of us could handle it through the rest of the year. There's only going to be, a couple months of
meetings.
it. And if one of us does happen to get sick or what have you, the 3 of us, we still have a majority. So,
I agree with Councilman Harris. To bring someone on at this point, this late in the game, it would be rather difficult to bring them up to speed with what's going on in the city. And by the time I think they got up to speed, it would be time for them to either step down or run as a write-in.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but your council career, did you start as an appointment to council to fill a vacancy?
No.
Okay. I'm not sure
No, I
who
did not.
did then. All right. I think appointing somebody to council now will allow them time to get up to speed. And we did discuss that that would be an advantage for one or the other person. If we do choose to appoint, I would choose to appoint Paula Kelly because she's on the planning board and she has information about the city to date.
Well, let me just say this. You have a charter provision that requires a vacancy to be filled in 30 days. It doesn't provide any punitive action if you don't do it. There have been some cases where there's been a failure to appoint, And the courts have said, well, you can always appoint someone who's committed to serving just for that absence and not running. Or you could just continue to bring the matter up if you can't determine someone by a majority vote at the next meeting. It's not a consequential problem if you have a quorum, which you do. In that sense, there's a technical violation of the charter provision, but I wouldn't worry about it.
And
Councilman, what say you?
I have a few thoughts on it, believe it or not. The city charter does not make any provision for putting off an appointment.
Right.
Right now, there are more than 100 days between now and the time that an elected council member will be sworn in. And the charter assumes that it would take less than 30 days to fill an appointment or a vacancy. So I believe it's our responsibility. Right now, the legislative power in this city has been consolidated to 4 people instead of 5. I don't think the residents are well served by that situation. And I think a refusal on our part to consider an appointment means that we're comfortable with the consolidation of that power. And I personally am not satisfied with that consolidation. Instead of requiring 3 no votes to stop action by council, it now only takes 2 no votes to stop action by council. This may not have any significance in the next few months, but it's difficult to know. But I do agree that this is a brief period compared to an elective term, and it is my opinion that an ideal situation would be to appoint someone who has been closely following city matters or has some level of experience with the city.
So if we have 2 no votes, though, and 2 yes votes, that's a tie, so it's not going to move forward anywhere.
That's right.
Correct. Right. So 2 no votes can stop an action by this council rather than 3 no
Okay.
votes.
My thought, you want to, bring Paul on, I'm assuming. It isn't right for the other 4 candidates
Amen.
that are running. And that would be my only, if we had somebody, if we had like Greg, if Greg was not on planning, I wouldn't have any problem bringing him back up here. But at this point, I think the 4 of us can handle it.
I agree, Councilman Harris. I as much as I think any of the council candidates are probably qualified and are certainly very well-meaning and wish to serve, to actually bring a council, someone who's going to run for council and put them up here for the remaining 90 days, 89 days, I think to me it almost it says is that we are appointing them. We are saying that they are the best qualified candidate, and I don't think that is. I don't think we should do that. I think it gives them an unfair advantage, and I think it should be a level playing field for all. Just my thoughts. I agree with much of what you say, but it would have to be somebody that is not running for council, in my opinion.
Okay. And there's 9,000 registered voters in the city. We can probably find somebody who would fill the bill.
Well, collectively, all of you have enough experience in this city to consider, should there be no action today, to have the item on the agenda later and maybe find someone who commits that they'll serve just for the duration, period.
Yeah.
And they've had prior experience in some form of deliberative body.
In that case, do we take applications?
You can if you want to.
Us, right?
You've got 2 weeks to have applications come in before your next meeting.
And how do we advertise that?
Well, I think you want to advertise, you're advertising it now by virtue of the council meeting. I think you want to advertise it perhaps to the best extent you can on the website or any other form of communication mechanism that's available to the city. Maybe it might be wise for the press to be involved, just to mention that this is an unusual circumstance, and at least there's no consensus on an interim appointment at this point, and you're looking for people who are qualified, who would be able to provide some value in that time frame.
Well, that brings us back to the first point. We need a consensus to agree to appoint. And then it sounds like the process would be to accept applications.
Well, I don't know if you necessarily need that.
Yeah.
You can just, there can also be a motion that goes to the effect, let's try to solicit some applications for consideration at the next meeting, period. You're not committing yourself to any appointment, but you're committing yourself to a process to determine whether there's someone who's qualified or satisfies you to serve in that capacity on that interim basis.
All right, council, what do you think?
I expressed my thought.
Same here.
Madam Mayor, I move that we, as a body, solicit applications for an appointment to fill the vacancy.
For consideration of an appointment.
Consideration, yes.
I would love to see that happen because that might be an opportunity for additional people to join a board. But we need a second.
You do need a second.
I don't mind as long as we're not doing it with anyone that is running for council at this time.
You're not committing yourself to anything other than the recruitment process. And
Okay.
people have expressed on this body that the better appointee, if there were one, would be someone who is not committed to this election or won't be committed to run as a write-in.
If that happens, John, I would think we would go behind closed doors and the council would elect who's who.
I don't think it's a
No.
closed door
There's no
meeting.
basis for it to go behind closed doors.
So if we get 4 people that want to run for council that aren't running now, want to fill the vacancy, so we got, say, 4 people out there, so we got to vote on all 4 of them at a council
Not
meeting?
necessarily. You
talk about it at a workshop.
Okay, well,
And then
workshop,
any
all right, that's what I
consensus
meant,
at
I'm
a
sorry.
workshop we can bring forward.
If you get enough
And-
in, you can have a pre-meeting before that council meeting.
That's fine. I'll second it on that, going on that route.
Okay.
But the motion didn't say that anyone running for council would be recused. It merely said that we would accept applications. So let's just identify it as it should be, or as we feel it should be now, rather than bringing it up again later.
I personally don't believe that anybody should be disqualified because they've filed, and I don't intend to amend my motion.
Again, I agree with you, but I don't think we should be saying, okay, we've looked at the candidates, and perhaps all the council candidates apply, and we select you. I think that is, so let's,
Understood?
Well, at some point,
Understood.
people are going to select somebody
that's true,
when they vote.
but council
And what
should
we're
not
looking at
appoint
is the
somebody
person who is
post-election.
willing to
Pre-election.
serve with information. My response to you is, to your response, that there's not enough time to bring somebody up to speed, but somebody already involved would be more up to speed. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. So, yes.
I want the motion read back, please.
As I heard it was, I move the city solicit applications to fill the vacancy on city council.
I think that's accurate.
Term to expire,
Yes.
when will
November
applications
13th,
end?
2017. Would you agree with that?
Yes. No,
Term to
Term to
expire.
expire November 13th,
Now,
2017.
again, it's cannot be anybody that's running for council now.
That's not in the motion.
That's
Not the
not in the
original
motion. But again, you can handle that in your review
Workshop.
of the
Okay,
qualifications.
that's fine, as long as we
If there's
Mm-hmm.
not a consensus at the
Right.
workshop, then
Which I'd be surprised
that
if there
wouldn't
were.
move forward.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Lubes,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Albrecht.
Yes.
The next item reviews a request by the Alliance of Coalitions for Healthy Communities to hold the Shatter the Stigma 5K race on June 2nd at Clawson City Park. This year in June was the second 5K run sponsored by Alliance of Coalitions, and looking to move forward again with another successful run.
In 2018.
Yes.
Okay.
They have to plan that far in advance.
I didn't see the route anywhere.
They follow the same route the 4th of July runners do, and the same route for the last 2
Okay,
years.
yeah, well, I didn't want to assume that, but I know that we had another run a while ago, and it was not nearly as guarded as the 4th of July run, which had,
That was a pause.
yeah.
Pause. That was a disaster.
Well, I'm not going to comment on
That was
what
last
it
year.
was. I can only say that there was runners that were weaving through traffic, and
I was the only one on the street corner. So, and they had a lot of streets across, and they were coming from every side street there was. It was crazy.
hopefully that it's conveyed to them until the run that they've got to have an X amount of people at each of the corners.
They have had for the last 2 years. I wouldn't expect it to be different for the upcoming year.
Well, they go by my house. I'm just saying. Madam Mayor, I move the request by the Alliance of Coalition for Healthy Communities to host the Shatter the Stigma 5K on June 2nd, 2018 in the city of Clawson be approved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayers,
Yes.
Councilmember Horton,
Yes.
Councilmember Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Lubes.
Yes. The next item looks at appointing our new city clerk and chief of police as designated Freedom of Information coordinators.
Getting in there already, huh, Mike?
You have to.
It's got to be somebody. Madam Mayor, I move the appointments of City Clerk Michael Smith and Chief of Police Harry Anderson as the designated Freedom of Information Act coordinators be approved.
I'll second that.
Chief, have you always been a Freedom of Information coordinator?
I always believe in freedom.
I do too.
Since I've been doing this job, I have been, well, official, but then they
Now,
needed
this
an
is-
official designee. 'cause
Thank you.
I was
Okay.
brought on as the assistant to the clerk, has generally been the FOIA coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I believe it was last year, or year before last, we found that we needed an assistant, a designated assistant, because a lot of the things with FOIA issues are based on time, so that if, into the absence of one of us, the other one would be there to address the issue.
As invocations, and that's a good plan.
Yep. And we handle, in the PD, we handle FOIAs on several every week. I mean, it's an ongoing deal with
That's the
us.
other basis of coordination.
Yep.
So there's consistency.
Sounds good. Thank you. Anything else? Roll call, please.
We don't have enough. Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Apologize.
Are you
Councilmember
stirring up
Horton,
trouble?
Oh, ma'am.
Yes.
Councilmember Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Lubes,
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers.
Yes.
The next item reviews the Intergovernmental Cable Communication Authority, or ICCA, board. In the past, Michelle Cuckoo was assigned to the board and simply replacing our new city clerk as the delegate to the board.
Madam Mayor, I move the appointment of the city clerk, Michael Smith, as the delegate to the Intergovernmental Cable Communications Authority, the ICCA, board be approved.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Horton?
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes. The next item looks at the bills to be paid in the next 2 weeks.
Madam Mayor, pay the bills.
Support.
Any questions on the bills? Roll call, please.
Sorry, trying to catch up. Councilmember Horton?
Yes.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
City Attorney's report.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have three items to report. The first is a residence on Bauman that has been a thorn for a considerable period of time. And recently you received correspondence and comments from people as well as council about the continuation of this particular residence. I had occasion to talk to the attorney and also to discuss this matter with the building director. At one point in time, the structure was one that was in need of attention, or else it was going to be torn down. As a result of that attention, the interior was cleaned up. It was the mold that was there from flooding was cleaned up. The outside has always been maintained by the city, and then we lien the property and we get paid on the tax bills. But the house has not been used. The mayor and I met with the owner and her attorney maybe 2 years ago and came up with an understanding that that house would be listed for sale and sold. So I explained to the attorney my consternation and that of my clients regarding the continuation of this particular facility. But I also did some legal research as well. And I will tell you that I concur with this pronouncement by the court in a case that is essentially, and this is what is known as the Bonner case. The Bonners are on the west side of the state, and they've been involved for several years in 7 or 8 cases on nuisances that have all gone, some of which have gone to the Sixth Circuit and upheld the process we've used all along as being valid. But this court, in one of the cases that dealt with an abandonment, recited that to abandon a particular use of property, the owner must voluntarily relinquish that use, meaning the owner must intend to do so and must commit an act or omission which clearly manifests a voluntary decision to abandon. In light of the letter, the email I got today and my conversation with the attorney, and I'm going to read the email for purposes of the record here and people who might be interested. John, thank you for your letter of July 18, 2017. I would also like to thank you and the various city employees who have spoken to me about blank Bauman over time. Please note that I personally inspect the property on a regular basis. I am not aware of any overgrown weeds or grass. The property is currently secured against entry by people or animals. The interior is free of debris and is in a broom clean condition. Contrary to the assertions of the neighbor, while I have spoken on several occasions with several of the neighbors, I have never received a firm offer from any neighbor. What I received was an expression of interest at purchasing the property at an undetermined price. We have been marketing the property as for sale by owner. I have been personally showing the property rather than using a realtor or lockbox. I have been receiving regular inquiries regarding the property at a rate of 2 to 3 per week. I have been showing the property regularly as well. We have received several firm cash offers on the property, but have been seeking to maximize the potential sales price. The summer sales season is not over, and the offers we have been receiving reflect increased demand. The property has not been abandoned as my client still regularly visits to ensure its upkeep. It is being actively marketed and is subject to regular showings and interest from potential buyers. This is a property that is actively being marketed for sale, and my client should be permitted the time to maximize the sales price. As we discussed, you are free to share this update with anyone, including the City Council. If I can be of any further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me. We've been very successful.
What I hear from the residents is a large number of rats, and that their consideration is the property has an absent homeowner, that no one's been living in there for years and years and years. When we met with them 2 years ago, the agreement was to put the house up for sale. But the for sale sign was in between the storm door and the house door, so it wasn't readily available to people. So the comment that they're actively selling the property is not true in my mind. I don't call that actively selling. And if they want to maximize the property value, I think we need to put a time frame on it, because I'm certain that my house will increase in 10 years, and in 10 years I could sell it for more money.
I agree. And I echo your frustration. But as your legal advisor, I think the one recourse is to try to publicize the consternation, as we're doing now, and also to send a message to the attorney and to his client that it appears that she'll have a decision by the end of the summer if the demands keep coming in, and therefore we're looking forward to the property being sold. As to vermin and rodents, certainly I'll contact the code official regarding that, and we'll monitor that very closely. And as to the neighbor who contacted you in writing, I will respond to them and
It's been
just
more
bring
than
them
one
up to date.
neighbor. It's been more than one neighbor.
Oh, I know, but you gave me the letter from one.
The last one.
Yeah, and if you have some others, I'll write to them as well. Not that I'm, defending this situation, but, the more I clarify the circumstances as I understand it as related by the attorney, I should communicate that to them as well. So that's the update on that particular situation.
Thank you.
John, wasn't that condemned at one point?
Well, it did, but they rehabbed it.
Just because they cleaned the house?
Yeah, they cleaned it up. They cleaned up the mold. It was horrible inside, and they did the floors, and they cleaned it up.
Yeah, I'd like to see one of us try to get in the house just to look at it myself.
Well, I'll ask him if he wants to provide an occasion for you to visit. I mean, again, any steps we do to put pressure or focus on them, I think, is meaningful. Again, this is an unusual situation, and for the record, this city has been very successful in any number of instances where we've gone in and cleaned houses and collected charges against the property for the expense, as much as $35,000 on one house. So we do get involved. But this is, I will say, an extraordinary situation. But we'll continue to monitor it. The other thing is that there's been a discussion of food trucks, and the mayor sent an email out about a meeting that she's going to have. And Greg communicated and I think advised you of his conversations with Lauren, my former associate, who's a Traverse City attorney now, and she conveyed a lot of good information. I've had discussions with Jim, I've had discussions with Greg, and as late as today, I mentioned to Greg that Jim, he and I should meet Thursday to prepare a report to council. There are some internal differences of opinion. And what I've mentioned to the administration is that our role is to advise the council of the pros and the cons, and you make the decision. So we're going to get all the information together, what Lauren has said, what the ordinance has proposed, and then we're going to submit it to council, and then it's in your hands. It's a licensing process, so you'll determine that. And fortunately, we got pricing as well, and it's rather high pricing.
Well, the pricing reflects a tourist city with many more people, not a 2.2 square mile
That's
city.
true.
At peak season.
That's very true. So that will be forthcoming. the massage ordinance has gone through its third iteration. I just received Mike's comments, and I have yet to get comments from Jim, because part of this is going to involve planning, so I want his input as well. But the massage ordinance will be to you sometime probably next month, not this month, until we get all the changes done. And you can look at that, and then we'll have that discussion as well.
I'm not sure what the changes will be, since times have changed, and it's no longer, they're not a massage parlor, but we have massage spas now, and we
Right.
have massages in the city.
And I'll tell you what the other communities have done. They have the old ordinance that we used to have, very comprehensive about clothing, attire, cleanliness, and all that stuff. And all they did was add certain exemptions, but left the whole thing still there. Mm-hmm. I don't cotton to that view. It's cumbersome, and I'd like it to be simple on control. So what I did was develop the purpose clause, which speaks to exemptions. And the exemptions are people who are licensed through the state or through some organization, like an athletic professional association for health care, or the barbers is one, and then, of course, the massages who have to get registered with the state. And what this is going to cover is all of those people who are not licensed in those categories and whose business is entirely a commercial operation dealing with a different type of massage, the ones that we customarily would abhor in our community. Now, that's hard to prohibit those without describing it, but it's easy to prohibit them by making those who don't fall in the exemption have to register with the city to show us a business plan for what they're doing and where they're doing it. And that gives the building department the right then to step in and say, okay, you're going to site plan review. Site plan review then talks about plans of operation, yada, 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 and health, public health, safety, and health welfare protection. So that's what the concept is, and it's not going to be a laborious one that we used to have. That's where we're going.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, I've said enough.
Thank you. City Manager's report.
Madam Mayor, Mr. Pollack requested that I report to council and at the meeting that he checked with SACRA, and the tentative schedule for the deliveries of the new recycle bins is going to be from between August 16th and August 20th.
2 weeks.
So that's where they're at, and we did double check with that. Doug Ballard double checked with that today and reported that that's still online. So that's my report.
Thank you. I was going to say, if it referenced recycling, we heard that the last meeting. That date was August 21st, though. So
well, it's moved forward
moving up a little bit.
So,
mm-hmm.
yeah.
Thank you.
At one point, they said September, so
Okay.
it's a little better.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other business? Any new business? Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Aris.
Well, ta-da. Last time I'm going to do this. August 12th, car show. Come on down. Everybody's going to be out there. We got a lot of vendors out there eating food, having food. A lot of fun, a lot of music, a lot of cars, and no rain. And then the next day, Sunday, you could go over to the Historical Museum. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Will Rock and Ronnie be there?
Rock and Ronnie will be there. This is 18th year. This is our 19th year. And Rock and Ronnie will be there. I keep grabbing them out of retirement, and everybody loves them, so he keeps coming, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Our farmers market is still on Sundays at the City Park, 9 to 1. This Sunday, the DIA will present a craft program, so they're bringing the crafts and supplies for an art experience. So that's this Sunday from 9 to 1. On August 11th in the evening, the Eagles Club will have a band that's open to the public as a fundraiser for Clausen Youth Assistance. On the 12th, they sell roasted corn and hot dogs and hamburger, and again, a portion of that money will go to Clausen Youth Assistance to support sending kids to camp. So it's our car show, our museum event. Then our next council meeting is August 15th. Anything else? The floor is open for public discussion. The floor is closed for public discussion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Olbrich?
Yes.
Mayor Lubes?
Yes.
Councilmember Ayers?
Yes.
Councilmember Horton?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.